before God ever brought Adam a wife, he placed him in the garden, gave him a job, gave him an assignment, gave him responsibility. Adam was not wandering around in the wilderness aimlessly looking for someone to complete him. He was already complete in the one who created him. And I need you to hear me, because too many of us are asking God for someone to love while ignoring the fact that God's first order of business is to make sure you know who you are and what you're called to do. God is not going to bring somebody into your life for you to drown them in your unresolved issues. He's going to prepare you before he presents you. You see, preparation is God's way of protecting both of you. He works on your character, because you can't build a lasting relationship on charm alone. Charm might get you noticed, but character is what keeps you trusted. God will let you walk through seasons where you learn how to handle pressure, because love is not just candlelight dinners and long walks in the park. It's also standing together when the storms roll in and the bills stack up. And if you can't stand under pressure by yourself, you're not ready to stand with someone else. Adam didn't even know he was alone until God told him. Sometimes you don't even realize what's missing in your life until God says, it's not good for you to be alone. And when he says that, it's not a statement of your weakness. It's a revelation of your readiness. That's why some of you need to stop comparing your journey to somebody else's. They might be in their presentation season while you're still in your preparation season. Don't rush it. Because if God has to introduce you before you're ready, you will mishandle what he gave you. And the worst thing in the world is to pray for a blessing you can't sustain. Preparation doesn't always feel spiritual. Sometimes it's learning how to manage your money. Sometimes it's getting disciplined about your health. Sometimes it's developing emotional maturity so that you don't interpret every disagreement as a personal attack. God uses those little lessons to get you ready for the big introduction. And let me tell you, if you're asking God for a king, you'd better be willing to be a queen. If you're praying for a virtuous woman, you'd better be walking in integrity yourself. Preparation is a two-way street. When God prepares you, he also prunes you. He cuts away attitudes, habits, and relationships that won't fit where you're going. And that pruning hurts because it feels like loss, but it's really making room for what's coming. Some of you are holding on to counterfeits because you don't trust God to bring the real thing. But you can't hold the wrong hand and expect God to put the right one in it. You've got to let go so you can receive. That's why he won't introduce you prematurely, because you bring the wrong baggage into the right relationship. And I know somebody is saying, but I've been waiting a long time. Let me tell you, delayed is not denied. In God's economy, waiting seasons are working seasons. Every day you wait, God is shaping you, molding you, and positioning you. You might not see it, but he's building you up in ways that will make sense when you look back. He's refining your patience, deepening your compassion, strengthening your faith. Because when he brings that person into your life, you're going to recognize them not by the way they look, but by the way your spirits align, and you'll know you're ready because you'll meet them from a place of fullness, not desperation. There is nothing worse than making someone else responsible for filling a void that only God can fill. That's why God works on you first. So when you meet your soulmate, you come together as two whole people, not two broken pieces trying to make each other whole. Two whole people can build something strong. Two broken people will only cut each other. So don't despise the preparation. Don't curse the garden season. Adam's garden was a place of work, but it was also a place of worship. He learned to hear God's voice in the quiet, to trust God's provision in the ordinary, to obey God's instructions without hesitation. Those same skills are the foundation for any relationship that will last. If you can't serve God faithfully by yourself, you won't serve him faithfully with somebody else. If you can't hear him clearly in solitude, you won't hear him clearly in partnership. When God prepares you before he presents you, he ensures that the introduction won't just be exciting, it will be enduring. And when you meet the person he has for you, you'll realize it wasn't just about finding love. It was about becoming the kind of person who could love well. When God brings two people together, he doesn't start with how they look. He starts with why they exist. We live in a world that's obsessed with the surface, how tall they are, how good their smile looks, what kind of car they drive, how smooth they talk. But God is not impressed by what impresses man. When God makes an introduction, he's looking at purpose. He's asking, do their assignments align? Can they walk together without one pulling the other off course? Can they serve me better together than apart? Because the truth is, when purpose and assignment collide, that's where kingdom marriages are birthed. Too many people have chosen partners based on preference alone and ended up in relationships that drain them spiritually. Attraction without alignment is like a house built on sand. It might look beautiful, but it won't last when the storms come. God is not trying to give you someone who looks the part, but can't handle the part. He's going to give you someone who fits, not just in your arms, but in your life, in your mission, in your calling. You'll notice that when God made Eve, he didn't just pull her out of nowhere. He formed her from Adam's side while Adam was still carrying the assignment of the garden. She was built to fit the work as well as the man. This is why some of you have met people who seem perfect on paper but didn't settle right in your spirit. You couldn't figure out why, because they had the looks, the personality, maybe even the right words, but something in you knew this is not it. That was God protecting you from being yoked to someone who wasn't walking in the same direction. See, when you're yoked together, it's not just about being close, it's about moving in sync. If one pulls to the left while the other pulls to the right, you won't go anywhere. That's why purpose matters more than preference, because preference might change with time, but purpose is what sustains. When God introduces you to your soulmate, you'll discover that your paths aren't just crossing, they've been leading toward each other all along. The introduction might feel sudden to you, but in heaven's timeline, God's been weaving your stories together for years. He's been letting your experiences shape you, your struggles mature you, your victories humble you, so that when you meet, you'll recognize each other by the way your missions connect. It won't just be, I like how you look. It will be, I see where you're going, and I want to walk with you there. This is also why you can't lower your spiritual standards for the sake of companionship. If their presence in your life pulls you away from God instead of pushing you toward Him, that's not the introduction you've been praying for. God's person will make you better, not bitter. They will challenge you to grow, not shrink. They will bring peace into your calling, not chaos into your spirit. The wrong relationship will have you distracted from your mission. The right one will have you more committed to it. Some of you are asking God for a soulmate, but your list is all about preference: tall, dark, handsome, or slim, pretty, stylish. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be attracted to the person you're with. But hear me, don't let looks lead you into a relationship purpose can't keep. God's introduction may not come packaged the way you expect, but when you open the gift, you'll realize it's exactly what you needed. You'll find yourself saying, I didn't even know I needed someone who could pray for me like that. I didn't know I needed someone who could help me see God in that way. I didn't know I needed someone who could stand in the fire with me and not flinch. When it's God, you won't have to force it. You won't have to beg them to understand your calling, because they'll already be wired to connect with it. They'll celebrate your victories without being intimidated. They'll comfort you in losses without being discouraged. They'll speak life when you want to quit, and they'll remind you of your assignment when the enemy tries to make you forget who you are. This is why the introduction is divine. It's not just about two people finding love. It's about God strategically pairing two lives for a greater purpose. He's thinking generationally, not just romantically. He's looking at how your union can advance His kingdom, how your gifts can complement each other, how your testimonies can inspire others. The introduction isn't just about who makes your heart race, it's about who makes your soul stand firm. So when God starts aligning your life with someone else's, pay attention to more than chemistry. Chemistry can be man-made. Purpose is God-made. And when the two come together, that's when you know you've met the one He intended for you. God is not only a God of purpose, He is a God of timing. You can have the right person, the right place, and still miss it if it's the wrong season. Timing is the seal that God puts on His introductions. It's the difference between something growing strong and something being uprooted too soon. Have you ever bitten into fruit that looked ripe but tasted bitter? That's what happens when you get something before its time. It might look ready, but it's not matured enough to be sweet. There are moments when God will hide what He's preparing for you, not because He doesn't want you to have it, but because He wants you to have it at the moment it will bless you and not break you. If God gave Adam Eve before Adam understood his own assignment in the garden, she would have been an extra weight rather than a partner. Timing is not about God withholding love from you. It's about Him protecting the love He's preparing for you. Some of you have been frustrated because you've met someone who feels like the one, but the connection didn't work out. You think you lost them. But sometimes God lets you meet the right person in the wrong season so that when He brings them back around, you'll appreciate them more and love them better. The delay was not denial, it was development, and development takes time. You can't rush divine timing. When a farmer plants a seed, he doesn't stand over it shouting, "Grow, grow." He trusts that in the right season, under the right conditions, that seed will break the soil. In the same way, God knows when the soil of your heart is ready to receive. He knows when your character has grown strong enough to sustain the weight of real love. He knows when your faith has been tested enough to trust Him in the storms that marriage will bring. And hear me, timing is not just about you being ready, it's about them being ready too. God might be working on your patience while He's working on their healing. He might be strengthening your faith while He's rebuilding their confidence. If He introduced you too soon, you would meet the version of them that's still bleeding from an old wound, or they would meet the version of you that's still doubting God's goodness. Timing ensures that you meet each other at your healthiest, not your most broken. That's why some connections feel peaceful and others feel forced. When it's the right time, there's a divine ease to it. That doesn't mean there won't be challenges, but you won't have to beg them to see your worth or chase them to keep their attention. When God sets the time in, you both arrive at the same place with the same heart posture. You don't have to manipulate the situation or orchestrate the meeting. God will arrange the introduction in such a way that you can't take the credit for it. I need you to understand that timing is also God's way of building trust in Him. If He gave you everything you asked for the moment you asked for it, you would never learn to depend on His wisdom. You'd think blessings were about speed instead of surrender. But when you've had to wait, really wait, you come to understand that every no was leading you to a better yes. Every delay was preparing a stronger foundation. Every closed door was saving you from a collapse. When you meet someone outside of God's timing, you spend most of your energy trying to make it work. But when you meet them in God's timing, you spend your energy building what's already working. That's why patience is not just a fruit of the Spirit, it's a guardrail for your heart. Patience will keep you from stepping into something premature. It will remind you that God's silence does not mean absence, and His slowness does not mean forgetfulness. There's a peace that comes when you trust God's timing. You stop feeling pressured by other people's timelines. You stop panicking when birthdays pass and your relationship status hasn't changed. You stop comparing your journey to your friends who got married before you. You realize that God is not late. He's strategic. He's aligning circumstances you can't see, moving pieces you don't know about, and arranging moments that will make the introduction undeniable when it happens. So don't just pray for the right person, pray for the right time to meet them, because when the timing is right, God will orchestrate the meeting in a way that feels natural, but is completely supernatural. You'll find yourself saying, if I had met you last year, I wouldn't have been ready. But now I see why God made us wait. When God introduces you to your soulmate, He doesn't expect you to rely on guesswork. He gives you tools, He gives you signals, He gives you confirmation. And one of the greatest gifts He gives you in that moment is discernment. Discernment is the ability to see beyond the surface, to hear beyond the noise, to sense beyond what your emotions are screaming. Because let's be honest, your feelings will shout, but the Spirit will whisper. And if you can't quiet your emotions long enough to hear the Spirit, you will mistake attraction for assignment. Discernment is not suspicion. It's not about finding something wrong with everybody you meet. Suspicion looks for flaws to justify fear, but discernment listens for truth to confirm faith. God's introduction will not come with confusion. You won't have to play guessing games or read between unclear lines. There will be a peace that settles in your spirit, not the kind of peace that means you're not nervous, but the kind that means even in the midst of uncertainty, something in you knows this is safe. God speaks through His Word, through His Spirit, and through wise counsel. And if you're really walking with Him, He will sometimes send multiple confirmations so you can't say you didn't hear Him. He might give you a verse that suddenly comes alive in a way you never saw before. He might speak through a mentor or a friend who doesn't even know the details of what you've been praying about. Or He might simply give you an unshakable sense that this person is not just in your life by accident. The enemy can mimic chemistry, but he cannot manufacture covenant. That's why discernment is so important. Just because someone can finish your sentences doesn't mean they're sent to finish your life's work. Just because someone feels familiar doesn't mean they're your forever. The Spirit of God will help you test the fruit, not just taste the sugar. He will help you notice if their words match their actions, if their prayer life is more than a performance, if their love for you is rooted in their love for Him. Sometimes discernment will tell you to slow down even when everything looks right. And that's hard because your emotions will be pushing you forward, but discernment will say, wait, watch, listen. It will tell you to observe how they treat people they don't need, how they handle disappointment, how they react when God says no to their plans, because anybody can be sweet in the honeymoon phase, but true character is revealed under pressure. And here's the thing, God's introduction will also be confirmed by the Holy Spirit in them. It's not enough for you to hear from God. They need to hear from Him too. A one-sided confirmation is not a divine introduction. It's a setup for heartaches. When it's God, there will be unity in the Spirit. You'll both have a witness in your heart, and it won't take manipulation or convincing to get them to see it. Discernment will also protect you from counterfeits. Before the real comes, the enemy will often send something that looks close enough to trick an untrained eye. The counterfeit will usually come with more speed than substance, more passion than purpose, more promises than proof. But discernment will help you see the difference. You'll realize that the counterfeit feeds your ego, but the real one feeds your soul. The counterfeit pulls you into secrecy, but the real one brings you into the light. One of the ways God sharpens discernment is through prayer. When you consistently bring that relationship before Him, He will reveal what you need to see, whether it's confirmation to move forward or caution to step back. He will expose what's hidden, not to embarrass anyone, but to protect your destiny. That's why you can't just pray for God to bless the relationship. You have to pray for Him to reveal the truth about it. Because if it's Him, the truth will only make us stronger. If it's not Him, the truth will set you free before you get bound. Discernment is not just about deciding if someone is your soulmate. It's about preparing you to steward the relationship once you have it. When you're operating in discernment, you'll recognize the moments when your partner needs prayer more than advice, when they need space more than words, when they need encouragement more than correction. That kind of sensitivity is what turns a relationship from ordinary to extraordinary, from surface to spiritual. When God makes the introduction, discernment will let you know this is it. Not because every detail is perfect, but because the spirit inside you will bear witness that this is aligned, this is blessed, this is safe. And in that moment, you won't just feel love, you'll feel assignment. When God brings you to the person He's chosen for you, it's never just about two people falling in love. It's about two lives colliding for kingdom impact. The world will tell you marriage is all about your happiness, your comfort, your personal fulfillment, but God sees it differently. In His eyes, the union is a platform for purpose, a partnership designed to push back the darkness, a covenant meant to advance His plan in the earth. When Adam met Eve, the first words spoken over them as a couple were not about romance, they were about responsibility. Be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it, have dominion. That wasn't just about having children, it was about stewarding creation, expanding God's will in the earth. From the beginning, marriage was about mission. And when God introduces you to your soulmate, you'll find that the connection doesn't just make you feel good, it makes you more effective for Him. The right relationship will multiply what God has already placed in you. If you had faith before, you'll have more faith together. If you had vision before, your vision will stretch further together. If you had influence before, your influence will grow deeper together. This is why the enemy fights kingdom relationships so hard, because when the right two people join forces under God's direction, they become dangerous to His plans. A kingdom couple is not just a love story, it's a weapon in the hand of God. But here's the truth, kingdom impact doesn't happen by accident. It happens when two people are willing to put God first, even above each other. It happens when you both agree that your love is not your highest calling, obedience is. It happens when you recognize that every blessing God gives you is meant to flow through you, not stop with you. A God-ordained relationship will have moments when you're called to serve others together, to give together, to stand in faith together, to fight spiritual battles together. And those moments will deepen your love in ways romance alone never could. Sometimes the impact of your union will be public. People will see your life and be inspired to trust God for themselves. Other times, the impact will be hidden. Your prayers together will break chains you'll never see. Your generosity together will fund work you'll never visit. Your words together will encourage people you'll never meet. But whether it's visible or invisible, kingdom impact is always the fruit of a God-made connection. The beautiful thing is that kingdom impact flows both ways. Not only will God use your union to touch the lives of others, but He will also use your mission to strengthen your union. When you work together for His glory, you'll discover a deeper level of unity. You'll learn to celebrate each other's strengths and cover each other's weaknesses. You'll see firsthand that you are better together, not just emotionally, but spiritually and practically. And hear me, impact isn't about being perfect. You and your soulmate will still be human, still have disagreements, still face challenges. But kingdom couples understand that the fight is never just between the two of you, it's always about something bigger. That perspective will keep you from giving up when times get hard, because you'll know that walking away doesn't just affect you, it affects the purpose God joined you for. If you want your relationship to have kingdom impact, you have to be intentional. You have to pray together, dream together, serve together, and forgive quickly. You have to resist the temptation to make the relationship an idol, remembering that it's a gift from God to help you fulfill the mission of God. You have to recognize that the same way God brought you together, He will also sustain you as long as you stay aligned with Him. So when God introduces you to your soulmate, don't just ask, do I love them? Ask, do we love God enough to fulfill what He's calling us to do together? Because the introduction is not just an answer to your prayer, it's an invitation into a greater work. And when you say yes to that, you're saying yes to a life where love isn't just felt, it's lived out in a way that changes the world.